Don't sign your spouse's name on immigration forms. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration attorney practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. In today's video, we're going to talk about signatures. Now, a lot of people are filing online these days, so this may be becoming less and less important. But at the end of the day, there are still hundreds of thousands of people who submit forms to USCIS every day using paper forms. And when they sign those forms, you need to make sure that the person signing the form is the actual person. You don't want to sign forms on behalf of your partner. This may be okay on run-of-the-mill like school forms or everyday forms that you might use in other parts of your life. But when it comes to immigration, it's very important that the U.S. citizen sign the forms for sponsoring the overseas spouse or for sponsoring the spouse here for a green card. This has come up in several cases that we've handled, and I wanted to talk to you about them. So in one case, a real issue came up before we were involved in a case in which a U.S. citizen lady filed an I-130 petition for her spouse. And at the interview, the officer, which is one thing that they do, asked, "Is this your signature?" And she looked at it and she said, "No, that's not my signature." And her husband sort of popped up and said, "Oh yeah, honey, that's your signature." And she said, "No, that's not my signature." And he said, baby, that's the time that you signed it right after you woke up. Don't you remember?" And so that became a big issue in the case. In fact, the client and his spouse really had to go through a lot of extra work, a lot of extra money, and a lot of extra legal fees trying to fix that problem. So you want to make sure that you sign your forms and your spouse signs their forms, and you leave it at that. We had another case once that we heard about where we were approached by a couple wanting us to help them. In this situation, the foreign national had apparently signed all the forms and, in fact, filed the applications without telling the U.S. citizen. Can you believe it? And so when the interview notice came, the non-citizen acted like everything was cool and said, "Oh, hey, baby, I just want to let you know I took care of all that green card stuff. The only thing is we have to go down to this interview today." If you can imagine the outrage and the shock there. So the long and the short of it is, forms should be signed by the people who say that they are signing them. Forms should not be signed by one person. When you are signing the forms, you're promising under oath that everything that you've included in the forms is true and accurate. So don't be too cute, because you don't want to open up a can of worms. Remember, our job as immigration lawyers is always to take away things for them to complain about or to create problems in a case. And so there's just no reason not to have the U.S. citizen sign their own forms and the foreign beneficiary sign their own forms. So don't make that mistake. Don't give them something to hit you over the head with. Don't create problems when you don't need to. If you're looking for help and want to work with a law firm that'll make sure that you sign your forms yourself, make sure you give us a call at 314-961-8200 or email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com.